do you require the occupants to stay in the home for a certain amount of time after these things have been done?
No, and you could even be doing it on a rental property.
Okay.
Whoever the property owner is the one that is in contract with the county, and it's paid back on the property taxes for that property. When you do, if and when you do sell the property, because it's in the property tax system and it's an assessment, excuse me, it stays attached to the property. I mean, our assumption here is that you're doing something to increase the efficiency of your home to decrease your utility bill. There's going to be a cost associated with that. However, the intent is, and especially if you're working with the professional building performance person and the people in the solar industry, the cost of what you're spending to decrease your energy should be smaller than what you're saving on your utility bill. So even when you sell the property, the next person using that building is going to realize that savings. That's our hope, that's our intention.
Is there a method to pay off that portion?
Pay off the portion through your property taxes.
Okay, well, what if you sold it and people say we don't want to pay for your solar and we just pay it off?
You can pay off. You can pay it. Yes, you can pay off the assessment if you so desired.
What's the cap on that, on the dollar amount?
The cap on the dollar amount of the financing, we have $87 million left.
Okay.
I know there was a news thing on the television a couple weeks ago, and they misinformed the public by saying $500,000. That is not the case. We have projects that are over a couple $1 million.
Is there a limit per property?
The
Can I get the 87 million from our
if you are completely unencumbered in your property and your property is worth twice 87 million, yes. Otherwise, we do have a guideline of 10% of the property value would be what if the property is encumbered. Where we promised the lending industry that we would not put the property owners and we would not put the mortgage industry at risk. So if you want to do a $70,000 project, the home needs to be market value or assessed value, whichever is higher, $700,000. Okay? Yes, sir.
Can you take advantage of this program in multiple occasions?
Yes, we actually already have people that have done a solar project, finished that. Now they're doing an HVAC project, they finished that, and now they're thinking of doing their windows. A little bit backwards, my opinion, but yes.
The 10% of the property value, would that be residential only, or is that also commercial?
With commercial properties, one of the additional requirements for commercial properties and Petaluma residents is, I could talk about that if it's important to people, is something called a lender consent form. So it's a form that the bank has to sign off on saying that they are okay with the fact that you're borrowing a certain amount of money. So if the bank's okay with it, we're pretty much okay with it.
Is that for all commercial properties or just in Petaluma?
All commercial properties require lender consent.
And residences in Petaluma?
And Petaluma was the last city to come on board, and the city council wanted to add the additional requirement of a lender consent form for Petaluma residents. Wells Fargo has already given us a blanket lender consent for Petaluma residents, but if you're with any other lender, we would have to provide that form from our website and get that signed by the lender. Yes?
How long is the payback term on, say, $50,000 for the additional assessment?
You can choose 10 or 20 years. A typical timeline after you've gone through the getting your application together and getting the process rolling, you've been submitted your application. One of the things that we have been a little challenged with in the beginning here is actually making sure the applications are complete in their entirety. And we're trying to improve the application itself so it's more clear. But we've found that a lot of people don't understand that they're in a trust. And if they're in a trust, the trust actually owns the property. So we do need trust documents. We don't do what the lending industry does. We don't remove you from the trust, change the mortgage, and then put you back in the trust. We just need to see that on the corporate or the trust documentation that you have the authority to go into contract and the authority to encumber the property. After the application is complete and it's been submitted, it's taking us about 3 weeks unless some strange things come up on the title search or there are other issues with the bids not being clear. We do need the bids, the proposals that come in from the contracts to actually articulate that they're meeting the energy requirements that we're asking for. Can't just say changing out the furnace. We need to know what the energy efficiency of that is and that it meets our requirements. After the application is approved, the property owner or the contractor can get the permit. We do have to sign a contract with the property owner in the process. So we do have a signing of the assessment contract. Law requires us to give the property owner 3 days to cancel, that cooling off period. After that, we do send our notice to proceed to the property owner, and then it's go for it. Great guns, get the project done. We started in March 25th. We had 1 project completed by May 1st. We had 6 projects completed by June 1st. And I think we had 26 projects completed by July 1st. So we're expecting August 1st to be a real interesting week for us. Yes?
Are those totals or accumulated total of 27 or
Completed projects.
for that month or for the
For the entire, for that month. So 1, and then the next month was 6, and then last month was 26. So I didn't do the math, but right now, as far as where we stand in the program, we've had over 330 applications. It's been kind of overwhelming. It's in a good way. I mean, it's hard to complain about being too busy and doing this work. We've had over 330 applications for over $13 million worth of requests. We've already paid out nearly $1 million in disbursements, with about $5 million pending in projects that are in process waiting to be completed for payment. So once that project is complete, there's paperwork that needs to be submitted for disbursement of that funding. We need the final invoices from the contractor. We need the final permit for the project. And we need the request form to be filled out for the disbursement. This is really important if you're a contractor. The first time the county writes you a check, no matter who you are, we can only do that on the first business day of any given month. We turn you into a vendor. So to be able to get that in place, to be able to pay you on the first day of the first business day of a given month, we need all the paperwork in this request 5 business days before the first of the month. And I'm sorry, some of this is so complicated, but we're not a bank, so we're kind of trying to work within the system we have and work on modifying that. But again, being the first in the state to do this, we're kind of working the kinks out for everybody on the entire process. On our website, there's a contact page. Our website is SonomaCountyEnergy.org, and on there's the contact for the SCEIP program. So if you actually go through the website and ask for information, it'll actually go to our staff, and the chances are that they'll be able to answer your question, and it won't need to come to me personally. But if it does, they let me know. It's probably better to send them an email and have them walk into my office and ask me a question anyway nowadays. So, alrighty. Well, thank you for all. I'm sorry I took your time, gentlemen. I know you've got a lot of great information to share, but thank you all for coming.